Today, I'd like to talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is the importance of a Bitcoin reserve. Now, this video is going to be a little different than others only because I'm not going to be reporting so much on the overall news, but I'm more going to be helping you look towards the future and actually build a plan using crypto. But before we get into today's video, I'd like to ask you to subscribe because every day I'm in the trenches. Every day I bring you daily updates. I bring you content so that you can stay updated and know what's going on in the market. That being said, let's get into the video. So, first of all, let's establish what is a Bitcoin reserve. Now, a Bitcoin reserve is basically the amount of Bitcoin you own. So you're acting as a bank owning Bitcoin for yourself. Now, let's move on to the importance of a Bitcoin reserve. Now, Bitcoin is a coin that is not going anywhere in the future. What I mean by this is it's not going to go to zero and disappear and you're going to lose all your money. Turned out to be a giant rug pull by the Matrix. No, Bitcoin will be and is constantly getting integrated into society, into businesses. There are tons of businesses that currently accept crypto, and then there are tons of businesses that are buying crypto. So, Bitcoin specifically, though, within crypto, is going to keep going up and up and up. You've heard about Michael Saylor, or you may not have heard about him, but his strategy is just buy Bitcoin. No matter the price, buy Bitcoin. And he is seeing tons of gains from this. Now, why is he seeing these gains? What gains is he making? Especially if he's always buying the top, how is he making any money? First of all, we need to look at the 5 year. So this is what's happened within the past 5 years. We're looking at a 5 year chart where each candle represents a week. So this is a big chart. So you can see back here on Monday of January of 2015, all the way back here is as far back as it goes, 2015. And you can see how little it was doing. It's at 2, 3,000, 4,000. And then say you bought the top back here in 2018 for $19,000. Well, when it hits its next top in 2020 for $60,000, that is a huge amount of profit right here. Now, assuming you continue to buy all the tops, if you bought every year during this, and then we went all the way up here, look at how much profit you would be in. $60,000, okay? Now, let's say you bought the top here at $60,000, and then today it's at $96,000. You are up $36,000. Now, assuming you kept buying Bitcoin as it went down, you dollar cost average, which dollar cost average simply means that if you had $10 to invest, you'd put a dollar here, a dollar here, a dollar here. You just put in a dollar every day until the $10 is up, and it brings you to an average price because you bought the high and the low, so they kind of cancel each other out, and you won't be at the highest or lowest. You'll be in a nice average price, which is very good for making profit. But continuing the analogy, if you would have continued to dollar cost average, the amount of profits you would be in is unreal, even if it was just $100. Now, the reason is because you are buying quantity of Bitcoin. So people sometimes ask me, they're like, oh, well, what's the difference between why can't I just buy $100 worth of Bitcoin and then wait for it to go into $1 million and retire? Well, the reason Bitcoin is not really a one time purchase unless you purchase tons of Bitcoin, close to half a Bitcoin or one Bitcoin even, the reason it's not a one time purchase is because many people don't realize that the price is not what you're trading. Well, what do I mean by this? The price is not what you're trading. What you're trading is the fact that for $96,000, you can get one Bitcoin. Now, the goal is ultimately to buy one Bitcoin, and that just makes it an easy goal. So, assuming you have one Bitcoin, that each Bitcoin, if you bought it at $95,000, or the current price $96,000, and then it went up to $100,000 just for simplicity's sake, then you would have made $4,000. Okay, now let's assume you owned two Bitcoin bought at $96,000. If it goes up to $100,000, you made $8,000. I think you can see where I'm going with this. The more you have, the more money you make. Why? Because the more you have, the greater the amount of Bitcoin you have, even if it makes a small move like this $4,000 move, which is relatively small for Bitcoin, then you still make more money than the person who has less coins than you. So that's why a reserve is so important, because it focuses on the amount of coins and not so much on the price. So if Bob had one coin and Bill had three coins, we can see the difference that it would make. So going back to the $100,000 rule, $96,000. Bob had 96, bought one Bitcoin 96,000, went up to 100,000, and he made $4,000. He's feeling great. But he goes to Bill, who had bought three Bitcoin, each at 96,000, and now they all three individually went to $100,000. So he made $4,000 from each coin, totaling $12,000. That is the difference between quantity and cost. Many times people are too focused on the cost of Bitcoin or the cost of a larger coin like Bitcoin, and they try and trade every coin the same. But you cannot do that. You need to think of some coins as financial investments for the future, and that is what I am doing with my Bitcoin. I buy no matter the price. Obviously, if it's a really good price, I will dollar cost a little more heavily than if it was at all-time highs. But overall, I just keep buying Bitcoin. Why? Because I'm worried about the quantity, not the price. I'm not worried about buying at $96,000 and then it going to $100,000 and only seeing that $4,000 push in the price of Bitcoin, because if I have two Bitcoin, then I made $8,000 if I have two Bitcoin. If I only have one singular Bitcoin and it only goes up $4,000, then I made, if it only goes up $4,000, then I made $4,000 when it goes up from 96 to $100,000. So that is the reason you need a Bitcoin reserve. So what did we talk about in today's video? Today we talked about how and to build a Bitcoin reserve, dollar cost averaging, or DCA. If you had $10 and you wanted to get into the market, put in $1 a day, and it brings your price to the average, because you buy the top, you buy the bottom. So overall, you get a pretty good deal on crypto. We've also looked at how when setting up a reserve, simply when buying coins, specifically Bitcoin, you want to worry more about the quantity than the price. You want to worry about how much Bitcoin you actually have, so that in the next pump, you can see these crazy gains. Finally, we looked at the significance between owning one Bitcoin and owning two Bitcoin, the significant profits you can take, even if it moves very slightly. But this is all over a long-term period, and many of this is going to be changing, and many of this can get more profitable as bigger businesses and even governments start to buy Bitcoin. All that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow. Adios.